Hey everybody, in this video, I want to give you 6 teams, one from each confederation, who, in my opinion, are the best teams from their respective regions to have never qualified for a World Cup. And this is not a list of teams that I think are the best teams that have never made it in the current day. I'm saying this is a historical ranking. This is a historical ranking of the best teams from each confederation that have never been to a World Cup, unfortunately for them. But I think they can all get to the World Cup someday. So, for example, the best team that I have from the CONCACAF region that has never been to the World Cup is not the best team from the CONCACAF region that has not qualified for the current World Cup, or is the best team on current form that have never been to a World Cup. Nah, this is all about taking history as a whole in a broader context into account. So step back, relax, and enjoy this video. So let's start off with CONCACAF. And the CONCACAF region, the best national team to have never qualified for a World Cup is Guatemala. We've had El Salvador, Canada, Haiti, Cuba, and the like in World Cups at some point in the past. But the only Hispanophone Central American country to have never been to the World Cup is Guatemala. They were joined along with Panama up until 2018, where Panama will be in Russia, but Guatemala is the only one from this region that has never been to a World Cup. You have a few other Caribbean island nations as well, but I think Guatemala, the amount of times that they have participated in World Cup qualification, they are the best side to have never been. From the South American CONMEBOL region, the best team to have never been to a World Cup is the only team to have never been to a World Cup from this region, and that is Venezuela. La Vinotinto have been an up-and-coming side in recent decades. They came close to making it both in 2010 and 2014. 2018 was a big step back. They didn't start off very well, and it cost them later down the line, but they did end up with a strong climax of not losing any of their last 4 games. So Venezuela, especially at the youth level, they're looking very good at the moment. So I think they're a great contender to get to the World Cup someday, and maybe even specifically the next one in Qatar 2022. From Oceania, Solomon Islands. Solomon Islands came somewhat close in 2006 when they reached the 2-legged playoff against Australia, where the winner of that would go on to face the 5th place team from South America. Solomon Islands in the past usually got famous results such as victories over New Zealand and the like, and they made it to the final round of Oceania World Cup qualifying, this time for 2018, losing to the All Whites, who then went on to lose to the 5th-placed South American team, Peru. But the Solomon Islands, they're a long-time Oceanian side. They're well-known, small Melanesian country, a group of islands. But they produce some decent footballing talent for the Oceanian region. I think they are the best team from Oceania to have never been to a World Cup. From Asia, it is Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan have come close in each of the last 2 editions in 2014 and in 2018. But even prior to that, they were always a menacing force, especially on the West and Central Asian scene. Since becoming an independent country in the early 90s, Uzbekistan have proven themselves to be one of the most formidable Central Asian sides. I thought they were really unlucky not to get to the 2014 World Cup. This time around, they disappointed towards the end. But they came a lot closer than people think, and they had a couple of good runs in the last two AFC Asian Cups as well. I think Uzbekistan is the best team from Asia to have never been to a World Cup. From Africa, I have Zambia. Zambia, 2012 African Cup of Nations champions, very much unexpectedly, but what a spirited run that it was. I'm going to make a separate video on why that tournament was so special and why Zambia's victory was one of the greatest sports stories of all time. But even going back to the 80s and 90s, Zambia was always a strong team in Southern African football and African football as a whole. They had arguably their golden generation of the early 90s that tragically passed away in an airplane accident which killed pretty much almost every single one of the players. And Zambia that year were strong contenders to qualify for the 1994 World Cup. But Nigeria went instead of them, I think. So Zambia, they might not have been on this list if that ill-fated flight for those players didn't so tragically happen. But Zambia, they have reemerged onto the scene of African football, and I think they are a decent candidate from Africa to get to one of the next two World Cups. I think they are already a top 10 team within Africa at the moment, and they've been riding high. They had a really respectable 2018 World Cup qualification phase, and they're going to be back. Watch out for the Copper Bullets. And finally, the best team from Europe, in my opinion, that has never been to a World Cup is Finland. I think it's Finland. I was going to include Montenegro, but Montenegro has only been an independent country for 10 years, and this is a historical ranking. So I have Finland here. Finland had a really decent squad back in the 90s, all the way up until the mid-2000s as well. They came close to securing a playoff spot in the 2010 World Cup qualification for South Africa. I think they beat Germany in one of their matches as well. And they got a draw elsewhere against Germany as well in the other fixture. Finland, they used to be one of the better teams in the Northern European region. I know they're not technically considered part of Scandinavia, or they're not a Nordic country, but in the past, they would be able to compete very well and even beat a lot of their neighbors in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. And Finland could have made it to one of the last few World Cups. I think 2010, they were a decent contender, like I just said, to at least secure a playoff position, but they finished narrowly just behind Russia. But I do think Finland is the best team from Europe historically that has not been to a World Cup, even though they have tried to get there so many times. So that's it. These are my 6 countries from each confederation that have never been to a World Cup that I think are the best teams to have never done it. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe. Do you think these teams can get to Qatar 2022? And I'll see you guys hopefully later today. Have a good one. Much love and peace out.